What's the difference between a fearful avoidant and a dismissive avoidant? I got this question a lot in my last video. I think people hear the word avoidant and think they are the same or just another version of an avoidant. FAs do have avoidant behaviors, but they differ from DAs in several ways. So let's talk about it. This is going to be long, so you might want to save it and come back to it later. Fearful avoidants, you are going to notice some anxious behaviors. Even if they lean dismissive, there's still going to be some anxious behavior there. It may not be as easy to notice, but if you pay attention, you'll be able to pick up on it. Dismissive avoidants do not exhibit anxious behavior. The second difference, and one of the main key differences between a DA and an FA, is that fearful avoidants typically experience some type of trauma in their childhood or in past relationships. That can be little t trauma or big T trauma. And that trauma can be any form of abuse, whether it is physical, mental, emotional, verbal, and even abuse. Trauma can also be growing up with a parent or caregiver that had mental health issues that may have put them in a place where they had to be the parent instead of the parent being a caregiver to them. Trauma doesn't stem from childhood. It can stem from past toxic abusive relationships where there is abuse or betrayal or rejection, infidelity, being in a relationship with a narcissistic partner. And all of this feeds their fear of not trusting others, betrayal, rejection, abandonment, emotional intimacy, and vulnerability. DAs typically didn't experience these types of traumas and will say, you know what, I had a great childhood. I was happy. My parents were great. In reality, they grew up with overly critical, dismissive, emotionally neglectful, and unavailable parents, or caregivers. Love was conditional and was only given to them if they met these high expectations and levels of perfection. So they learned to associate love with their performance, their successes, achievements, and accomplishments. Third key difference between FAs and DAs is that FAs do see the importance, the value, and crave emotional closeness, connection, and intimacy in relationships, but they fear it at the same time because of their fears of not trusting others, rejection, betrayal, abandonment, etc. Dismissive avoidants do not understand the importance or the value in emotional and physical closeness, connection, and intimacy. These fears are more about losing their independence and autonomy. They fear commitment, conflict, criticism, along with the fear of relying on others and having others to rely on them. And they will prioritize all of those things over emotional connection and relationships. Difference. Fearful avoidants have a negative view of themselves and a negative view of others. Dismissive avoidants have an actual rather positive view of themselves, but have a negative view of others. Fifth difference is fearful avoidants will exhibit hot and cold behaviors. They will push you away and pull you back in. FAs oscillate between anxious behavior and avoidant behavior. They can be clingy, needy, and smothering, but they can also be dismissive, where they shut down, withdraw, pull away, avoid conflict, can shut you out completely and block you. You will see intense emotion with an FA that differ from DAs, and their behaviors can be erratic and very confusing. FAs, if they are with someone who is avoidant or dismissive, it will cause them to go anxious. And if they are with somebody who is anxious and not so secure, it'll cause them to go avoidant. You are not going to get the hot and cold, the push and the pull with a dismissive. You're going to get the cold and lukewarm. Dismissive avoidance, you are not going to see any emotional vulnerability. Everything is going to be on the surface. There's no emotional depth to them. Where there are a lot of similarities because they both have avoidant behaviors, as you can see, there's a lot of key differences. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Was this helpful for you in understanding the key differences between the two?